All right. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting for everyone. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to The Miracle Is You. I'm your host, Ashley Lee, and today I am being our miracle. How about you? I am so excited to announce my special guests, my love, my life, our life, Dani Henderson. She brings joy, light, love, and experiences to the world we didn't know we could create together. Dani, thank you so much for joining me today. I am so delighted to have you here with
Hi,
us.
Ash. Hi, darling. It's so good to see you. But wow, you make me sound great. No
You are
pressure.
great.
No
You are
pressure.
great.
We're all great. We're all amazing. We're all incredible,
We're all
beautiful
great.
beings.
We're all around the world, right? Supporting the world, supporting ourselves, bringing out that innate miracles in each one of us. And
Absolutely.
I'm so delighted you are such a deep, deep person who really goes to the depth and the breadth of what it is and what it takes for us to really bring out those miracles inside of each of us. I would love for you to share just a little bit about who you are, what miracles you bring to the world every day, Dani.
Well, I mean, in order to be able to kind of, hear that, the bring the miracles that are in me, for example, I'm always very much about kind of sharing and telling people all the secrets of things that I've learned, because why would we keep them to ourselves? Why don't we just like put it all out there? And there are people that don't, of course. There are people that, speak on bigger platforms than mine, and and give a lot less. And, there's a definite kind of programming and training that we've had, many of us, to big develop narcissistic tendencies and be all about us and enjoy our our kind of our platform rising, however that kind of ends up looking, when actually the time of ascension is now, meaning that I believe our planet is literally ascending and shifting and changing in her growth. And because we live on her, we're in agreement with her, that we also are being dragged along whether we like it or not. So we are giving all, being given all the in opportunities, and invitations to make growth within ourselves. And some people say, well, what do I do? I work 9 to 5, I have to pay my mortgage. That's the system. You're not talking about you. You're talking about the system that you were forced into, that many generations of us were forced into. That is not you. That is not the miracle of you. The miracle of you is someone recognizing that they can generate and create their own energy from inside out, not from outside in, or reading a book or watching somebody. So what I do when I want to feel my own frequency, feel my own energy, I literally will take my hands and rub them together. It's that simple. And the harder I rub them, the hotter my hands get. And they're getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And when I reach a certain frequency of real heat, I stop, but I don't pull my hands apart. I very gently move them the tiniest bit. A slip of paper might get there. And when you do that, you can literally feel your energy. You can feel your electromagnetic frequency. If I have a sore throat, if I have a sore chest, I'm going to put my hands on my chest. I'm going to reabsorb my frequency back into me. I'm going to agitate lovingly my frequency back into me. I'm going to unlock what is already inherent in me and remind myself and show up for myself and say, hey, Dani, you're feeling unwell? Don't forget who you are. Don't forget the miracle that is in all of us. Create the frequency, create the heat, turn on your systems, and then bring it back. With, as you know, I mean, goodness, you're the greatest nurse, senior nurse, medical person I ever met in my life. And I know that's a humbling moment for you, and I don't care. It's true. I tell people about you, I'm like, Ashley Lee, if your baby was born with its insides outside of itself, she's the woman you want to hand your infant to, because you saved so many children's lives, and you knew you could, and you did, and you have. I know I'm jumping here, but you're not very good at, if I may say, as your loving long-term friend, talking about all the great things you've done. But not only were you the senior nurse in the newborn infant care unit that people knew were the one that could handle certain things, people believed in you. They felt that. And you had such a massive responsibility. And I'll tell you who the miracle is not. The miracle is not the assholes that have been running our planet. The people, I've wanted to talk about this for so long, but you can't on YouTube. And so I guess I'll be putting this on Rumble for myself. But you had to leave your nursing shoes at the door with so many other beautiful, great people because you refused to unbecome the miracle that you are. You knew that if you took that poison, it would be poison in your body. It wasn't in everybody's. Let's not be, the scaremongering. People took the vaccinations for whatever reason they took them. We're not here to judge that at all. But for you, it wasn't that they got you, you know what I mean? They got you, but you wouldn't allow love for you and your family to enforce that restriction on you. But what you
Well,
did do,
I want to share something right there, is right there on the last day when our famous governor of that particular state said nobody could be at the bedside anymore without a vaccine. The charge nurse had said to me, said, well, how come you're leaving? You can clear vaccines. And I said, I can clear vaccines. I can clear them in me and I can clear them in you. But what I failed to do was I failed to help you learn how to clear them in yourself. And I'm going to not further acknowledge this failure, and I'm going to go out and help everyone learn how to heal the vaccines and other things, other toxins in your body yourself, so that you can own your energy, you can own your miracles, and you can bring them forward in you. That is innate and natural and organic from you, not about me. Thank you,
Mhm.
Dani.
Yeah, well,
That's
like
exactly.
right. That's what you needed to be talking about, girly pants. How great you were, how many children you saved, and the miracle that you are. Um, and in again, acknowledging who we are, the frequency that we emit, the thing that people feel in us. And also on a level, I want to say that when someone sees something in someone, it can only be because there's a recognition, there's a pattern recognition or a frequential recognition, there's something or a past life or a cellular memory, there's something because it already exists in the other person. There's already a limit, and an element of that within them, which is so important to recognize because, people, when they see us on our platform, some people, they're still holding the program of celebrity, which to me is the biggest like cringe, like, celebrity what? Let's celebrate everyone. I always say no one above another. Some people they like, oh, you're so this and you're so that, and you changed my life and la la la. And I always say, no, you changed your life. You did something for you. You decided that it was time. You heard something that you knew you could make work for you. You changed your life. And I wish more people would do that, would give that frequency back to the person emptying themselves out. Another reason why people empty themselves out is because they want to feel safe. So if they're gushing and they're lovely and they're kind and they're so respectful and they're saying, oh my gosh, you changed my life or whatever, they're making sure that they can't be hurt by that person. That is a long-term defense mechanism that a lot of us inherently have. We've learned to create it, to protect us, to against being harmed. So my hope is that the people that are recognizing the miracle that they are, that they start to see, I don't need to do that anymore. That program doesn't work. I don't need to, try and protect myself. I should be able to feel safe with everybody. And if I don't feel safe instantly, I need to be okay with walking away. I need to be okay with that. I don't have to walk around and live my life pleasing everybody or pleasing them to please like me.
Exactly, like you just shared earlier about how the safety that we want inside of ourselves comes from within. It doesn't come from without. So out here, we're safe because we create that safety inside of us. And when we create that inside of us, we don't put ourselves in front of dangerous situations anymore. Like it's so fascinating to watch how that unfolds when we know we're safe because then our energy is no longer hookable. I like to say in America, right? Or we don't
Yeah.
recruit each other's energies. So I'm not recruiting any more unsafe people to to impact me. And you know, you're right. When people do impact me that are kind of unsafe, what I do is I really put it out through the center of me, through the top of my head, the bottom of my feet, really standing strong and recognizing that whatever they're sending me, I recognize that I can zero point that out. I recognize that completely neutralizes. It's a non-existent, non-important. And what happens is that energy just fizzles away. And it's fascinating how we have that capacity. And you know, I just want to share with you when I first met you, how many years ago? Like 6 or 8 years ago? It was a while ago. And in Encinitas in San Diego, California. And I was so ingratiated because you wrote this book called Kids Soul Speak. And I was like, oh my God, you're like reaching my heart. Like, this is exactly what I envision all children to speak their soul, speak their true essence, their divine true essence. And you are like my sister from another mother, or sister, whatever we were going to call it, but sisters of love, star sisters. And I just love you so much that you're here to bring forward in our in our childhood environment, that we get to speak our true speak. And you
Mhm.
just literally live that, breathe that every single day. And it's very present in my awareness, and I believe in everybody's awareness, that you're here to bring that forward in our world.
Well, thank you very much. The reminder is for me is that, you know, let's say the adults watching this now and they're on various stages of their journey, and let's say that they're fighting with their beloved, with their partner. When we fight with our partners, argue with them, or we feel like we can't stand them, we don't want to be in the room, whatever it might be, there's always an invitation there to look at us. Why are you getting triggered? There's something in you that's allowing that trigger. Is there a need, an emotion, a pattern that you run that you have to have a certain level of fighting? Do you need to release some kind of chemistry in your body, dopamine, serotonin, whatever it is, that gives you a bit of an adrenal high? What is that? What is that in you? And so my biggest thing for every single human, no, regardless of who they are, is this. You want to heal everything in you, in your life right now, and go back to the child in you. Literally, you go back to the child in you. And there's so many ways to do that. And the easiest way is to imagine yourself as a newborn infant. And I do a beautiful, you know, meditation of doing that, the inner child rescue. But I think it's just as easy to immediately visualize yourself as a really teeny tiny, beautiful newborn, you know, wrapped in a blanket. And then you imagine yourself going into the room and seeing yourself. And then you imagine picking yourself up and holding yourself in the left. And then you can feel your own newborn self's heart beating against your heart. You can feel the head, the infant child. You can feel the breath of that child on your neck. How beautiful is that? And you hold, and if you want to rock, you rock that child. And you recognize that you are the first one to ever bring that beautiful infant love. You are the one that you are waiting for. And then you remember your role now is to parent that child in you. Be a parent to them. Don't go into, but I'm not a parent in real life. I don't know how to be a parent. I was never shown. They're just things we hear. That's not you. That's not the miracle of you. The miracle of you is recognizing in a moment you can take charge of your healing without a therapist, without a partner, without a friend, because they're on their journeys too. It's an inside job. So if we just go back there, we take care of that infant. We remember to parent them. And that means this: you don't dare speak down to yourself, criticize yourself, be cruel to yourself, be harsh with yourself, condemn yourself. Because when you do that, you're doing that to that baby inside of you, that inner child. And I know, and I've seen it enough times, when people realize, wow, everything I tell myself, my body believes. My cellular memory holds on to that. Everything that was told me growing up that was abusive and horrible and hard and hurt me, is transferred in here. It's still in my vessel, and I just keep on keeping on. It's growing. But if I take back that moment, be that newborn, hold that newborn, and decide I'm going to clean the slate, I'm going to neutralize. You already used that word. When we decide it's our decision, I'm going to get neutral. So I can't be emotionally hooked. Something else you mentioned earlier, the emotional hooking. So if it's your mum, your dad, your brothers, your siblings, your lovers, your husbands, it doesn't matter. The relationship doesn't matter. The Pope, the shirt lifting cardinals, it doesn't matter. What matters is you at this moment. I think we've got to the point where if we're learning, there's no side to pick. There's no Trump, no Biden, no red pill, no blue pill. Who cares about them? Who cares? Why do people fall on the sword for people that don't even know they exist? Why do people die on the hill for people that will never even hear their name? They're defending online, the digital warriors, and they're being so beastly and so cruel. I mean, I've had a few pops, not going to lie. I get quite heated on my channel sometimes. I'll stand up for people. I'll call out someone who's deliberately hurting, maiming, and lying. Oh, yeah, I am that woman too. But ultimately, we got to recognize the love that we deserve to have is first the love that we allow ourselves to receive. And no one's going to heal us bigger and better than we heal ourselves. And that's the miracle of us, Ashley. That's what I truly believe on that level.
It's so, so true. And bringing forward that miracle when you hold that newborn baby and you experience that and you consciously choose in the moment to no longer call ourselves loser and smack ourselves and tell ourselves we're bad, and instead go, wow, what I just did was kind of not very pretty, not very good, no, maybe a little naughty or mischievous, manipulative, whatever it is that I believe I need to have. And I shift that around and I go back to that young baby. When you experience that and you calm and nurture yourself, what do you experience after that, through that process, and how do you integrate that in your everyday life at that point forward?
Yeah,
When you're nurturing that loving baby and you're really repositioning those thoughts and those ways that we used to punish ourselves.
you make a decision and you remember that when you connect with that newborn, not pretend to, not imagine that you have, don't lie to yourself. Don't say, I can't, because of course you can. The deepest pain is inside of us. Therefore, we have direct access to it. Whatever image we give it, it's there, right here. And so you make the concerted effort to really feel. That's why I say hold the back of the head, feel the breath of the baby's breath on your neck, feel the heartbeat from that baby's heart onto your heart. You make it physical. You create a reference point within your biome, within your system. And then you really embrace and you feel how that feels. And even doing that, you make a shift. You shift the frequency, the energy. You start to connect to that little one that has been so in the corner all of its life, so harmed, so hurt, so victimized. And you say, no, come here, darling. Come here, darling. I got you. I got you. I got you. It literally releases all the good chemistry, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. It literally starts to show the inner child that elements of it, I guarantee, are frozen inside of people. That there are people, there are leaders on our planet who suffered emotional paralysis at, let's say, 9 years old. And those people who've refused to heal, gained power, are ordering a lot of us on the planet from their 9-year-old self, from their
Yes.
angry, bitter, unhealed, immature self. And we deserve to know these things and be reminded so we can think about these things and then take into account, well, what can I do about that? What can I do about me? We also rattle other people. I mean, I do. All I have to do is walk into a room and people are like, oh my God, I hate her. I hate her, rattle, rattle, rattle. I rattle their demons, and I also trigger the child in them, the child that's still like this and like this. And, but a lot of people, they're healed on a certain level in the head, but they haven't connected to the body. They haven't brought everything together again. There's so much separation. the head from the heart, the head from the soul, the spirit. So we're trying to make that and connecting to the inner child. It is the quickest, the fastest, the most powerful way that we can do that. It truly is.
It truly is, you know. And when we connect to that part, how do we bring that to our grown-up world and move from that maybe arrested development 9-year-old self or 15-year-old self or even newborn self? And how do we bring that arrested development forward into our nowadays self, really translating that gift, that love, that nurturing, that shift about how we can connect to that inner deepness that we're all looking for.
Mhm. One of the easiest ways to access that and to stay with that is to literally treat your adult self like your best friend, like your absolute best friend. So again, you are parenting the inner child that's observing everything, the paralyzed emotional parts of life that still exists within you, fractured parts of you that are longing to come back together as a whole, that only you can do internally, not externally, here internally. And so when you look in the mirror and you hear the old pattern of God, you're fat, God, you're ugly, oh my God, what happened to you? Whatever, the things that we all say to ourselves, you know, you don't dare do that to you. You would never speak to your best friend like that. You would never speak to a baby or a child. So what right do you have to talk to you like that? You're just
So
keeping the
true. What a
pain.
fantastic way to connect with our inner selves, to recognize. I don't think we're really clear as adults about how we, mm, I'm going to use the word bastardize ourselves. Like we just really shoot ourselves down and shoot ourselves in the foot and are constantly looking for feedback about how people are angry at us or not willing to work with us or why don't they answer my text or my phone call or my email or what is it about me that I'm doing wrong. And you're right, when we have that opportunity to come forward and look at ourselves, how we're talking to ourselves, it may mirror a little bit about how we see people talking to us as well. So it gives us such great insight to notice when we're talking smack to ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another beautiful, kind of addition is us, those of us that have relationships, is making the decision that we are going to treat our partner like a best friend too. And even when we recognize and we feel the physical triggers and start pulling we start, because we've got all this time with someone where they've dropped anchor emotionally in us, and now they've gone and kick that switch and kick that switch. And we can decide to, you know what, nothing's ever going to change. We're going to keep running the same patterns because that's what we've learned to do between us with our emotional hooking back and forth. We've created this whole program, this whole console, so recognizing the partner and deciding, I am not going to allow the triggers to pull. I'm going to decide how I respond, how I emote, how I am affectionate, how I speak to you. I'm going to mindfully do that. And then if you get triggered, own it, go back there again. And remember, nothing, if some people need to be shown, as in it helps them to learn. So when we decide we're going to make changes in our relationships, and then we start to talk, treat, feel, react, respond differently with love, like they're our best friend, they're all their wounds come up. The wounds open. It opens people. It softens people because both parties have stopped being on that mechanical defense, that they've had to implement from childhood to now. And we forget the things that we do in relationships are largely from our childhoods, not from our adult life. That's how we learn to be and survive in the world. So if we're fighting, it's because we're feeling vulnerable, but our partners are our best mirrors, aren't they? They're our best mirrors, our best opportunities to really reflect and create a loving relationship with self and with someone else. Nobody wants to be smacked around, spoken down to, walking on eggshells, being this vibrant miracle that you get into a relationship and then you become a little wet dish towel on the floor version of yourself. Like, what is that about? Or the person that you meet falls in love with all the quirks about you and the loudness and the outrageousness. And then very quickly, once they've got you in that physical contract, after you've dated a bit, you've made love, you've been around a little bit here and there, had a few little arguments, and suddenly they start to complain about the very things that they were attracted to. The very magic of you that they saw is now an issue for them. Well, that's when you make a decision to continue down the road of being the wet dish towel on the floor, or loving yourself enough and that child in you, respecting that baby in you, parenting that child in you, showing up, because no adult ever showed up ever for you the way that you can show up for that inner child. We're the adults we were waiting for. We're the change we've been screaming out for, praying out for. And it's just so amazing if we listen and we recognize and we accept that. Wow. Like, wow, it's a game changer for us, isn't it?
It sure is a game changer. So much so, someone's honking outside.
Yeah. I heard that. Honk, honk. Yes. It's
I was like,
confirmation. It's confirmation.
see, they heard you. They heard you on the inner. They heard you. This is how we can share with each other too. The miracles are us. I mean, you're so right on about how if we think about how many ever millions and billions of people are on the planet, all the adults, all the grown-ups, if we all every day tuned into our inner child, spoke beautifully to our inner child, really comforted and nurtured that part of us, then moved into our adult self being and treated ourselves like our best friend. And we're having that inner speak to ourselves all day, every day. Just think about the resonance frequency and the harmonics and the interconnected we would have with each other. We would be surrounded by beings of love that love themselves and love each other to share the love in our community. We wouldn't have road rage. We wouldn't have competition the same way. We wouldn't get into perverted entertainment. We wouldn't get into prowess and power over others. We would be generous, kind, naturally occurring. Oh, there's the honking again. So, right? So
Darling.
what would that look like, especially to children who are highly sensitive energetically, that are telepathic, that are empathic? I mean, when I was a little kid, I didn't realize why I was so telepathic, but I used to run around sticking my fingers in my ears going, God, this is not my job. I am not here to listen to everybody's negative self-talk. I'm not here to listen to all of this. What do we do with this? What is this about? And so I shut it down. And then when I grew up and woke up, I recognized that, oh, I'm extraordinarily telepathic, not to be nosy and get into everybody's business. It was really to give a speak to those who couldn't speak, those on a ventilator, those with a breathing
Mm.
tube in their mouth, those who are too young to maybe vocalize their position and their love and their situation. So I could give words for those who couldn't speak for themselves and share that truthfully, honestly, with no filters of my own, giving the true essence of what that being wanted to share out loud. And that's where I realized and was shown where telepathy is so valuable. It isn't about spying or controlling another person.
Yeah.
How do you
Yes. And
feel
it's
about all of that with our innate giftedness? Because I think it's been so, again, bastardized, or it's been so shunned that we're not allowed to express our innate giftedness, our ability to empathically feel another person, our ability to hear another person, our ability to see the energies around another person, our ability to be present with that person, even if it's non-local or remote. How is that such a bad thing? Like, those are the ways that we show, share, and prove that we're connected.
I was in Chelsea in London last night, and I was on a boat, a friend's boat, and there were some other people there. And one of the people that came was a beautiful man, Russell, and he turns up in a pirate hat and these diamante female feminine glasses and a big woolly coat and a bikini top and some kind of a mesh skirt. And he was fabulous. He was absolutely fabulous. He was so grounded in his body. He was so comfortable with different colored nail varnishes and he was just so aware of himself. And we sat and we had a really good in-depth conversation. I'm going to bring him on my channel soon. And his empathy for humanity is so deep. Like you, your empathy for humanity is also incredibly deep, Ashley Lee. I know, yes, girl, I know you. And he could, the people could look at him from afar and assume he's gay, he's this, he's that, and yet when he presented in this beautiful, flamboyant, free way, he's so free, and you talk to him, you don't see any of that. You feel the man's heart. You feel his beautiful heart. People like him are extraordinary because they're completely themselves. They're feeling they're free. They're not following a trend. They're not doing that, in my opinion, the filthy drag queen. If I'd seen one of those half-naked idiots waggling its wanger down the street, I would have got it in a headlock, punched it a few times. Disgusting. That's child abuse in the face. In the face. That is violence. Oh, don't say anything because otherwise we'll be told that we're against gay people or the transgender. It was a violently socially engineered trauma weapon on our kids. You see the footage, those little kids in Canada sitting on the curb looking at these stupid men that have probably come out of prison for, whatever. It's okay to talk like this. We get so worried. Oh, don't say that. I don't care. I'm so beyond caring. If you get triggered, get triggered. Why are you triggered? Where are you triggered? It's okay. Maybe something awful happened to you. Maybe this is the time you pick up that baby and you feel that and you love them and you hold them. It's okay. But people violating in that way isn't okay. People like Russell presenting, and you feel and you can see, again, the miracle in us, the miracle is you. Our humans, we are so brilliant. We are so clever. We feel, we know when someone's lying. We know it. We feel it. We're too clever. We watch TV. We see people. We're so clever. We know something's off. Sometimes we don't want to see it. Sometimes we all play the emperor's new clothes. He's completely naked. No, he's wearing a silken suit and he looks great. No, he doesn't. He's naked. Stop lying. It's okay. So jumping over to with the children and with the continuation of how do we keep the healing going, I would advise any parent or anyone that's around kids or young people or young adults, tell them what they're doing right. How about if you're a dad and you live with your kids and you're a single parent and you're on at your kids every day, you've done your homework, which to me should be illegal. That just causes disruption and breaks up the family unit. They have enough stress in school. Um, or tidy your room, or you're not going out, or bribing and blackmailing, or taking phones away, and all the things that cause such anger and rage in the unhealed parents and adults and create the defense mechanisms in the children. So no wonder there's an impasse. How about the adult and tell all the children what they're doing right. And those adults to adult relationships tell their partner what they're doing right. Don't we love it when somebody sees us, says something nice to us? We could live so much smarter and easier by implementing such simple techniques as that. I do want to jump to something I mentioned earlier, which was a technique, the one with the energy here, that we can also create energy and put it on our children, if they've got a headache, whatever. It's so beautiful to know that, to have more physical awareness, because the deletes, the skanks, the neptards, or the retardos, whatever the worst possible label to give people that don't care about humanity, whoever they are, bringing together the knowledge that en masse we're here to heal, right? So we ignore them. They're nothing. They're the nobodies. And we're seeing them crumble. We're seeing the systems come down now. We are. And it's just amazing. I'm so happy. I kind of lost my thought there for a second. Sorry, I was trying to remember what channel we're on and the things that we can say and can't say. So annoying. So I'm going to go back to a little technique where we can see our own energy, where everyone can. People say, oh, I can't see this and I can't see that. I'm going to show you how. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove to you, no matter who you are, oh, I'm not clairvoyant. Listen to yourself. You're watching this, you go, no, I'm not clairvoyant. I'm going to show you in a second how you're going to see interdimensions, how you're going to see light around you, how you're going to see light in others. I'm going to show you in 1 second. First of all, jumping back to remembering how to love the inner child, hold the newborn self, recognize there are elements of us that are frozen with paralysis, stuck at 9, stuck at 3, stuck at 4 when trauma's happened and the brain is shut down and compartmentalize something. What I recommend everyone does who's aware of inner child need to heal, get photographs, if there are any of you. Don't go into story. There are none, they got burnt, then okay. Then maybe you can find pictures of kids that look like you could have looked at certain ages. There's another way of doing it. But get pictures of you, stick them on the fridge, on the kitchen window, on the bathroom mirror, in your bedroom. Because what happens is we consciously introduce ourselves to a decision that we're going to love more and be the best friend to that child, be the parent to that child. And after a while, we actually don't see the photos anymore, but the subconscious is still picking up. It's still picking up. It's still reacting to stimuli. It's still reacting to its environment. So the more that we prolong, keeping these pictures, these photographs, these things that remind us to keep pulling back to the 0 point in us, in healing. And I wanted to show, again, remember, tell them what they're doing right. But now I'm going to show people, because you asked me to give some insight into some of the ways that we can bring healing on all levels, metaphysically, spiritually, emotionally. So the easiest thing to do is this. You look, let me see if I can turn my camera off because I could get people to practice on me, because there's a white wall behind me. Let me see if I can do that. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. There's a bit of a shadow there. Okay. So no matter who you are, no matter what level you think you have, your ability to see light, to see through people, we can all do it. Here's what you do. You want to see an aura. So I did a gym class the other day. It was called Cyclone. It was full of nut jobs, all triathletes. Everyone's electronic disc is on the wall. It's like 185 and 375, and mine was like 15%, but I still can't walk properly from it. So I don't recommend doing it. At least I had to go, though. I had to go. Anyway.
We'll bring in that light to restore your muscles.
Yeah, yeah, I'll be doing this later, remembering my own tools, exactly. Yeah. So in order to see, so you can see there is a white wall behind me. And so we all have electromagnetic frequency, because if we didn't, we'd be dead. Okay, because that is the life force energy of the soul, of you, of what you are. Yeah, that's what's running this biome, this body. So when you want to see an aura or a light or an electromagnetic field around someone, easier to do it with the white wall. And you basically stare at the person, but you put your eyes out of focus. So disfocus, because when the eyes are focused, the brain knows what's happening. The brain is mapping. The brain first goes into fight or flight. Am I safe? Do I need to do anything here? We're eliminating that. We're putting the brain and the visualization and the regular memory and focus and critical thinking on the back seat. And we're looking with our eyes out of focus. And we're staring at the person and we're looking at the shoulder, but we're going to go past the shoulder. So look at the person out of focus and then slightly look past their shoulder and keep your focus there. And just relax your focus. And the more that you truly gently do that, you should start to see an outline. And that's the very first way that I learned to see light around people, or conscious way. I'd already been seeing it. I'd already heard their demons, their angels, my book, Angels, Demons, and Aliens, that I wrote, we'll talk about in a second, which is physical interactions I had with these three species, not bombing, not in my meditation, not in my dream time, but in physical time. So I went to a class, Dr. Chris Lamont, who's been on my channel several times. I love him. We did a class. It was a very basic, simple class. And we need that sometimes. Doesn't matter how advanced I was, never had a lesson in mediumship, never had lessons. But my ego wasn't that big because I knew I needed to know how to get some skills, get some tools, handle myself, handle my energy, decide how to find something when I want to find it, like an aura, like, can I trust that person? Can I look at that person? Things as well, like we know there's different colors of our chakras, but also that is somewhat of a guidance system. If you meet somebody and they're bright red, their aura is bright red, but they don't feel in your gut, they don't feel bad. Maybe they're recovering from trauma. Maybe they are holding anger and rage in them, but it's something other than you, that you're not in danger. Some people say, yeah, I had my aura picture taken by Curlian photography. It was green. That means I'm friendly. My angel is Archangel Raphael. I want people to really take a look at that, because the whole of our spiritual revolution was hijacked and it was weaponized. And we've been told that we're these amazing beings, which we are, but that we can connect to every single species and thing on the planet. I don't believe that. I've physically met aliens, Pleiadians, physical like me, men and women, as solid as me, Ashley. They're not spirits. They're not bloody omnipresent. They're fourth and fifth density. They're from the Pleiades, which is swarming with millions of other humans from the Pleiades, like us, millions of people from Earth, on Earth. But we weren't told that, were we? No, it was made to be much more mysterious and spiritual and magical, and some of the beings that we see, they are just like you and me. They are physical. And that's why I put this book together, to say to people, listen, you're the Doreen virtues of the day. I went through all of that. I love learning about the goddesses and the gods and, the angels and the colors, and it served me well. And then when she took a left-hand turn and decided to go to whatever it is, energy frequency that owns her, whatever label or subsect of apparent Christianity, that's not love. What I've seen from that, that's a different dark. You're a sinner. You're this. Anyone that tells you're a sinner, needs to sit down and be quiet, sit on their hands and get on with their healing. Anyone dares, I don't care who they are, who's the biggest imaginable religious, icon in the world. They're just a person really with a robe and, but we put them on pedestals because we've been programmed. Let's say the Pope. A lot of people think that is the biggest thing in the world. If that bloke dared to say a newborn baby is a sinner, I don't know that I'd be able to not rugby tackle him to the ground and sit on him and say, how dare you, you sinner, how dare you condemn an innocent, beautiful newborn baby? But somehow in our world, we allowed that bullshit, that bullshittery. We allowed it because humans, we just kept taking it. We just kept believing it. It really wasn't our fault, though. It really wasn't our fault. But it does show us how unhealed a lot of us still are, that we're running those childhood programs, the multi-generational programs that we can drop in a second. We can grab that newborn and we can start right now from there. We can feel our own energy frequency. This is what we came from. The energy frequency that's in us is from Creator, God, whatever you want to call that energy that you came from, that holy, miraculous you, the God part, the God spark, the soul part. It's so amazing. We're witnessing. That's why I always say no one above another. There are no gods. There are no goddesses. We are this beautiful, the same. It's just so, I know so many people have so many different ways of expressing it, but it's true. We are unreal. And, all these shirt lifting bishops and cardinals, and who trusts those blokes anymore? I mean, sorry for the good ones that aren't touching children, aren't messing around, but we've recognized every single system, science, education, political, royalty, there's filth and dirt and devils and demons wrapped up in human bodies, people that we think we should admire, sharing their physical bodies with demonics that they've done soul contracts with. I've seen it so many times. Many of you have. That time we said, what? When those witches go on their singing tours, the concerts, the big witches on our planet, I think some of us are recognizing who they are now. The famous singers, they're out there casting into the audience with their words. You slow down some of the songs, those songs that go out, number one, top 40. Some of those albums have been prayed over. They've been witchcrafted over. And it's so true. I've got this 3-part series by a man called Todd Collins from the original John Todd. He was original Collins family from England, came over on a boat from England to America. A massive witchcraft family, infiltrated systems, prayed. So a lot of the albums that make it, they've done witchcraft over them. They've prayed, they've demonized them to hook us. There's so many different things we could talk about right now. So I'm just going to drop little smatterings in. But when it comes to my book, Angels, Demons, and Aliens by Dani Henderson, this here, I wrote it and it's my own physical experiences with these physical beings. Yeah, physical grounded, because we need to know that when we were little children, when I'm seeing these awful demonics, let's say, in my room, terrorizing me, physically touching me, physically trying to hurt me, and I was scared to death. The housing estate we lived on was so dark. There was a serial killer over the road. The house opposite, the house behind that, there was a serial killer that worked with my dad. I mean, the place attracted. It was the poorest, it was the poverty, it was the violent, it was the rapists, it was the child molesters, it was the everything dark. And the land, I came to find out years later, the land those houses were built on were battlegrounds. Many a
Wow.
person had slain. My road was Cavalry Crescent, the cavalry. The road up from me was Royal Sussex, a Royal Sussex regiment, in England. The road up from there was Command Road. It was all holding that frequency. And I'd see dead soldiers walking through my house with a leg hanging off and an eye bulging. And I'd look, and my brothers wouldn't see it. My parents wouldn't see it. And I got to the point of just shutting up because nobody believed me, because they couldn't see what I could see. And I realized that I wasn't a freak. I wasn't a freak of nature, which I thought I was, obviously, growing up. I realized that, wow, I needed to see all that, work through it, survive it, share it. So people on their now ascension healing journey can recognize themselves, as so many people have read this and said, my God, I recognize myself. That happened to me. A couple of people have said to me, I read a story in your book that I've never even heard of. I've never even imagined that before. One of them, very quickly, I think I'll tell you. I went to do a land blessing in a cottage in the woods in England. And it was over 200 years old. And it was so down in the woods, I had to park my car and walk down a slippy, slidey woodland to get down to this cottage. You couldn't drive to it. That's how deep in the scary haunted woods it was. Anyway, I'm doing this house. I'm doing a blessing. I'm feeling, I'm sensing, I'm looking at everything, because this couple are worried. There's so much interference. There's people standing over them at night. They're like, can you help us? I'm like, yeah. So I go into the bedroom, and the main bedroom, and there's only one place for a bed to go. That's the ancientness of this old room. One place. And for hundreds of years, anyone that lived in that room, slept in that room, slept in the bed the same way. So I'm looking at the bed and I start getting this terrible backache. And I'm looking at it. And as I'm looking and I'm tuning in, a physical presence starts to manifest on one side of the bed. And it's a big woman. And I said to Sarah, the lady of the house, I said, Sarah, have you been getting backache? She's like, oh my God, Dani, my backache is so bad. I feel like I'm going to pass out. And I said to her husband, Steve, is Sarah rolling over onto your side? He went, oh my God, Dani, every night she's rolling on me and I'm rolling her off. And I said, guys, I have to tell you that you're sharing your bed with a dead woman, a lady that died in that bed from a very serious agonizing back cancer, and she doesn't know she's dead. And they were like, holy God, Dani, holy God. And so it was beautiful because we were able to, you know, just talk to the lady. I spoke to the lady. We prayed. And they were, you know, I'm not a Christian, I'm not religious at all, but prayer, bringing love is a better way of saying it. You know, sending love, being love, you know, gifting love, holding love around a spirit, a disembodied spirit, doesn't know it's dead. It's, imagine that. Poor lady's still there, you know, in her death trauma, you know, in her stupor. So that's what we did. So that's one of the stories in the book. You know, there's many, many, many. I tell you what the angels of death actually are, because I've met at least 2 of them at this stage. Not what Hollywood told us. You know, there's many different things that, anyway.
Angel of Death. And you met 2 of them. Wow. Were they of different sides, like the angel of death, the white side and the black side, or what were
Well,
those amount?
all right. Well, I'll tell you, the first angel of death I met was I was living in America with my then husband. I'm now divorced, and he had cancer of the prostate. And he was still dragging his feet because he was so scared, bless him, to have the operation. You know, he was at risk of having the cancer spread outside of the prostate. And I wake up one night and we had this gigantic 4-poster Bali twist bed. It was high off the ground as well. It was a really massive bed. And I wake up and there is this entity standing against the wall on my side. And I instantly telepathically know it's an angel of death. And it's wearing this kind of silk, and a bit like my dress, like layers and layers of silk, like black, brown, bit of cream, bit of kind of off yellow, and then layers and layers and layers. And all I remember seeing is a physical solid entity against the wall. I look at it, I know it's the angel of death. And because I have my whole life since a baby been surrounded and had to learn how to fight, protect myself from these, I jump off the bed and I punch into it. And the second my energy merged with its energy field, she was the most loving, beautiful experience. And she said very clearly, he is at choice. And so I woke my husband up and I said, oh my God, the angel of death was here. And he went, oh my God. I went, no, 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 it's not like that. She's come to tell you it's now. You're at choice. You have a choice. Well, the next day he selected a lovely Iranian surgeon that we'd met in Los Angeles. We lived in San Diego. And he decided to make that decision that day. And he's still alive. And so, you know, it was amazing. And so I realized like, wow, everything we've been told about. See, that's the thing with what I've done on my journey in order, again, to learn for myself, but then to help others on all the different layers and levels that I know I can and I do. That the fact that I recognized and had the experience with the angel of death, then I can tell people, don't worry, if you see one, it doesn't mean you're going to die. You're not going to be dragged off to hell. The second one I saw, I was on a train in England, 2007, and I'm going up to London to meet 2 producers, 2 film producers, Gordon Wistance and Sean Glenn. You can look them up. One is a big deal director for Channel 4 programs, and the other one has been a real kind of British lovey in interior design and other great. So I'm going up to London to meet them because they want to do a show with me, and I've got to go up and sign a release form, and they're going to make a show. It was going to be called What Truly Lies Beneath, and they were going to blindfold me because I can see blindfold. And I've proven that. There's videos on my YouTube channel where I've years ago blindfold taken to places and told you where I am because I can feel and sense like most of us can. Our bodies are barometers. We can see and do so much. We're so miraculous. So I'm on the train, and because I'm a scuba diver, I meant to say that bit. They were going to drop me in the oceans around the world, blindfolded with my scuba diving gear on. Then I would tell them and read the frequency and the energy of what they dropped me in the body of water for. It never got made. Bloody good idea though, and I'm still up for it. Anyway, so I'm going up to see them and I'm on the train and I'm reading this book by a famous medium in England called Doris Stokes. I love me a bit of Doris Stokes. She's dead now, been dead a long time. I'm reading her book, and her book's called Voices in My Ear. And she was one of the most prolific clairvoyant mediums we ever had on our planet. And I'm reading the book, and all of a sudden, I feel this energy that's kind of bearing down, but it's not violent, it's not aggressive. It wants my attention because it knows I can see it. That's how they show up. And it is leaning over me. Now, because it's not showing up in its physical form, it's creating an image, a clairsentience that creates an image in the brain, internal. And so I go inside, I'm like, what the hell is that? And it is another angel of death. And it is a giant, giant man. He's wearing a big, black, heavy coat. And his head, Ashley, looked like a pumpkin. It was the most extraordinary image. But he's literally leaning over me, reading my bloody book on the bloody plane, on the train up to bloody London. That's why I said to him, oh my God, is the train going to crash? And he said, no. And I said, are you on the train with someone? As the angel of death? And he said, yes. I said, how long will you be with that person? And he said, a week. And then I was like, wow, my God, it reminded me of the movie Meet Joe Black, where the angel of death has come in Brad Pitt form to take him. And then you read about people who, like my own beautiful fiance, who sadly, dropped dead of a heart attack in front of me. And well, he dropped and collapsed and went into a coma and never recovered. But the week before Jeff died, he was seeing spirits in our house. He was getting things done. He was in a hurry to get paperwork done, stuff he hadn't done for years. So a lot of us do get signs. It's not always that though, guys. Don't go into fear and think, oh my God, is it the angel of death with me? No, sometimes we're just getting our shit together. It's just time to change the program. When you hear an interview like this and you get all these techniques that you may not have thought of before, or we're just reminding you again, because a lot of us are so brilliant. We've already done this 1,000 times. We just forgot. But anyway, yeah, so we get these signatures, these points of awareness or awakening where something like that is there. And it was the angel of death was on the train with this person. So there was 2 instances in particular where I'm like, wow, the angel of death is actually a beautiful opportunity on many levels. A, to choose whether you are going to make an exit now, like my ex-husband did, or not, or that you've got an energy frequency with you, a death angel that's going to go through that death journey with you, that's telling you to get your shit together and put papers in order. And, so it's pretty beautiful experiences.
Those are amazing, to really bring forward where we get to release the fear of death, right? And our interaction with the angel of death allows us, like Meet Joe Black was a really good example of a story of how he moved through, right? Anthony Hopkins moved through all of the different aspects of fearing death and bringing alive his opportunity in all of his awarenesses. I love that you helped people really see your aura and your energy signature. I see it all the time too, even on video conferencing like this is really amazing, is that you can start to see it even inside these cameras and have the opportunity to share each other's. We see the giftedness, the brilliance, the light that we emanate, even when the light is challenged or, like you said, angry or upset or irritated, and that can be our true essence too in the moment as we're embodying different frequencies of discordance or distortion, and we have the opportunity to feel it and then move through it. And I sense that's what really delivers us from fearing death to the other side, to recognizing we have a choice. Like you shared
Yeah.
with your ex, is that he had that this moment is coming, and that you have a choice of what it is you choose to do. And I think for many kids too, sometimes they feel like they want to leave, but they don't have a choice. And then they keep trying to leave. Many of us star-seeded adults try to leave too in many, many, many different ways. And we keep realizing or we keep thinking that someone or something is putting us back in and making us stay when we don't really want to stay. And I sense as part of the deliverance of our soul emancipation or our soul liberation is that when we do experience the moment of choice that I choose to be here or I choose to leave, and we take that inner personal or that inner soul responsibility with that action, we start to liberate ourselves. We start to access awareness that we never knew was available before.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
And it's amazing. And it's our birthright. It's our birthright. And sometimes we can be on a journey with someone, whether it's a relationship, friendship or a lover or whatever, where they can get triggered. That's happened to me in the past, where I've been on a journey and I've been realizing things, or the teacher, I'm seeing things that she's not. And I don't realize that she can't see what I'm seeing. And I'm assuming that she can, because we assume a teacher, leader, spiritual leader is going to be able to see. And I was seeing past her and telling her things about seeing the Lemurians in Kauai, or Lemuria, as I call it, the island of Kauai in Hawaii. The first time I went there, I lived there for a while, as you know, as well. And the first time I saw the Lemurians, and that story is also in this book too. And she was so angry, the woman, she goes, "Oh my God, I've been coming for 14 years and I've never seen them." I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't even know who they were until right now." And Lemuria, when they said they try and block the information, Lemuria was named after the lemur. Shut up. Stop it. I remember when I had that, I'm like, why do people lie like that? Aren't they embarrassed? Because that lie's going to stick with them, you Nelly. I don't know. It's so interesting. I want to say something about these miraculous people that I've met, and I want to give everyone the opportunity to go to my website. And it's a really simple website. It's galacticspiritualinformers.com. That's it. Galactic for our galactic heritage, spiritual for the spiritual journey that we're all going through, and informing, telling the truth. And so, as you know, actually, every year I run a big conference. I'm inviting all of you beautiful people to come and join us, come and play. They're going to see people on that stage bringing evidence of our alien brothers and sisters, the good ones. Alien technology that has been repressed on this planet that we should have free access to. So much information. Dr. Christiane Northrup, Goddesses Never Age, Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. She used to be on Oprah Winfrey when it was considered a good thing. It's not so good these days, apparently, with all the stories coming out on that, beingness. I've never met the chick, so I don't know, but I'm staying away from that drama. Dr. Christiane Northrup was voted one of the top 12 doctors to trust in America as a, gynecologist and obstetrician, natural birthing. And like you, was forced up against the wall, wouldn't take medicines, and came out speaking against certain medicines. And now when you look at her Wikipedia, a senior surgeon for over 40 years, and it says conspiracy theorist. She'll be on that stage. Dr. Lee Merritt, yeah. Dr. Lee Merritt. Dr. Lee Merritt was another doctor that came out when the whole pandemic happened. And she's a naval surgeon, president of the American Surgeons. I'm messing up the title there, but that's who she was. And she came out, a lot of you will remember, she had like short hair. She's a little petite little lady, but very, very clipped voice, very direct voice. And she was mad as hell about what she'd seen in the Navy and came out reporting on it. That woman brings information out at our conference this year on the Khazarian Mafia, some of the greatest leaders from our history down the timeline, who they actually were. And so the thing about the conference, we call it GSIC, Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, because we're connecting everyone. So it's like GSIC 2024, GSIC, Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection. And you can't say everything online, so we have to have these conferences, which is so beautiful. So 1,000 people come together. the whole audience is equally as important as any speaker on that stage. Starseeds, I've got like, I think there's the fourth relationship of people potentially walking down the aisle. People are meeting each other. They're meeting their star families. The black sheeps, the misfits are finding their vibe, their tribe, their people. There's people all over the world, a group from Canada, a group from Australia, a group from Japan. I pulled them all on stage last year, the Japanese ones, and just let them all, say a word and take a bow. And it was just so beautiful. It's so special. This is where we are. This is who we are as a humanity. We're connecting. We're doing conferences. We're sharing truth and reality. We're mowing down the system that's like five shitheads at the top and billions of us miraculous, beautiful people. It's so, so, so exciting. We got Tony Rodriguez. He was stolen by the by satanic family, sold into the military, American military, used as a sex slave, used as a child that they did experiments on, injections into with 10 other kids. They were kept in a cabin, a cubicle, a wooden cabin on an airfield in California. That airfield is called Inyokern. Now, what I've made sure I do, Ashley, is if you are standing on that stage, you bring your proof, you name the names, you give the dates, you give the physical evidence. We're at that stage, like I said, with writing my book, where bring the physical evidence. It doesn't mean that you can't connect spiritually, spirit to spirit, soul to soul. No, but we have got to be grounded now. Recognize that the spiritual movement was hijacked. It became another program. The Doreen Virtue, the plug-in. Now let's take people down this road. It was hijacked. They knew that at this time. They would try and confuse us. But now we do things like Galactic Spiritual Informers. We come together. We honor everyone. We sit and we tell people of the tools, how to create frequency, how to see into other people's energies, but also how to see into other dimensions. One quick thing. If anyone wants to watch a shadow on a wall, right? Let's just say the sun's shining and you can see the shadow of my beautiful plant that I'm growing. And I will sit and I'll look at the reflection. So don't look at the actual physical thing. You look at the reflection. And when you look at a reflection, especially a moving reflection, you put your eyes again out of focus and you stare. You just breathe very gently and stare. And remember, you're putting the brain in the back room while your beingness is connecting. And oh my God, can you ever see into other dimensions? The first time I did that, I was living in a place with here with trees and in nature. And the trees were reflecting off the wall like this. And I was lying on my bed and I was like staring at it. And then I did close my eyes like this, like just, and oh my God, all these little faces start peeping in, little spirit nature divas and little elfin looking things and little fairies. And I'm like, oh my holy God. And then I look over to my left and there are two giant light beings. They must have been 14-foot tall, very, very slender, just outlines of a person, a being. And they're kind of sitting, looking at me, looking at these dimensions. And they were so gentle. They were emanating love. I wasn't scared. I've seen so much at that point. Oh my goodness. And they just got up and they just walked straight in front of me and straight past me and into the other dimension that was clearly visible to them in the room that I was in, because it's happening everywhere on every level all around us. But my God, when we start to deliberately connect using our own energy frequency, then we can see, the greatness, the miracle that we are.
So true. So true. Wow, Dani, thank you for all of these insights and tools that we can use to access the miracle in each one of us. And even no matter what age we are, right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh
so
yeah, my
amazing.
God.
I look forward to your conference. I look forward to reading your books and sharing your love around the world. Your insight, your wisdom, and the way that you bring forward everything is so vocal, so light driven, so emanating. that you share with us the opportunity to know that we can do the same
That's
and
good.
we
That's
don't
all.
have to.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's all, right,
I want
right.
everyone to know how rock and roll they are, like how amazing they are, and that they need to stop that. I can't do that. That's not me. Yes, you can. You're lying to yourself. So stop that. Connect to the newborn, connect to the child, connect to the pieces and the parts. Tell your kids or others what they're doing right. Like, remember all of those things. Put the baby photographs everywhere around the house. Remember to be your parent. Remember to be your best friend. Remember to treat your partner like your best friend. Remember to recognize the physical triggers that we get and delete them, neutralize them. I wanted to mention the beautiful Todd Medina. Hi, Todd. I watched him years ago when he first started. And to me, he was he's such a loving man, lovely energy that comes from him, a lovely multi-layered, multi-tonal voice. And I remember thinking, Jesus, he works so hard. Like, he'd be putting out more than one Facebook Live a day, interviewing people and sharing information. I know that you're on his platform, and I just wanted to say a personal thank you to Todd Medina, for what he's done and giving you an opportunity on his platform. See, that's what we should be doing. Share, 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 share it all, share it all. So yes, so love to Todd.
We sure are. I don't even call this a podcast or a broadcast. I call it here on soulogynetwork.com. I call it a soulcast.
mm,
And not casting
indeed.
spells, casting truth. Sharing the opportunity to share our frequencies, our harmony, our love, and our light each and every day. And that really does unfold as the miracle is you. Thank you, Dani, for joining us today, and thank you for being the miracle is you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today, knowing the miracle is you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you to your beautiful audience. And remember, galacticspiritualinformers.com. That's how you can find me, see the website, come to the conference, and, connect to more beautiful people. Galactic Spiritual Informers.
Beautiful, everyone.